We'll use a marker to draw onto the latch to give us a mark to drill. Removing this broken pipe is nearly impossible using a wrench or pliers. We can use 2 bolts and a screwdriver to get the job done. We can attach this bolt to this socket to make things easier by drilling. We can use the snap blade to open up old padlocks. We'll bend the blade in half and then cut off one edge on both sides of the blade. Now we can slide the blade between the shackle and the case to pop open the lock. To paint clean and even edges, we can cut the bristles off of this paintbrush at an angle, then screw a plastic card onto the back of one side. This will give us a clean line. We want to make sure to apply Teflon tape to metal fittings. Make sure to wrap clockwise, which is the same direction as the fitting. We can use a drywall knife to better clean up this bucket. Instead of moving the knife up and down, scrape in a circle around the bucket. This axe needs a new handle. Our new handle doesn't quite fit right now. We'll make a few marks along the top of our axe handle. Then we'll make cuts along the marks using a handsaw. Now we can use a couple of balloons to squeeze the handle together. Now we can hammer the handle into the axe head. We'll fill the cuts with glue and some wedges, and then cut off any excess wood. Now we can add a finish to the handle. If we need to remove paint from this roller tray, we can add a few thin layers of paint, letting each one dry in between coats. That will make it easier to pull up the paint in one single layer. When applying mounting tape to this metal frame, we can use a smaller piece of the same frame to line up the tape along the outer side. We can temporarily attach these 2 metal frames together using a couple of screws. We'll first drill our holes, and then we'll make sure to install the screws at about a 45-degree angle. Our next tool that we'll be making is good for connecting 2 metal wires together securely. We'll start by removing the head from this bolt, then drilling a hole through the center. We can use a magnet for any metal dust. Next, we'll use an angle grinder to cut out an indentation in the bolt. Now attach nuts to both sides. We can pass the wires through the hole in the bolt and out through the indentation. Now when we tighten everything together, the wires won't slip. If you happen to run out of caps for your PVC pipes, you can use a straight fitting and a coin that matches the size of your pipe. Next, we'll be using this pipe welding machine to connect the fitting to the pipe. Now the coin will act as a cap. We need to install this T-joint onto this pipe. First, we'll cut the pipe that runs along the wall. We'll use our pipe welding machine again to connect the fitting to the bottom half of our pipe, and then to the pipe that passes through the wall, and lastly, to the top half of the pipe. To help us line up these screws so that they sit flush, we can first drill a pilot hole. and now our screws will sit flush. To properly wrap Teflon tape, we'll first lay it almost vertically from bottom to top, then wrap downwards in a spiral motion. To make sure these cabinet hinges are installed properly, we'll first need to make a template. Using a piece of scrap wood, mark out the hinge and the holes. Push in 2 nails along the hinge line. Then mark out where the screws will go and drill the holes. Now we'll install the hinges. Everything lines up. We can make our own DIY garden auger for digging holes. We'll make 2 incisions on both sides of this diamond cutting wheel and attach it to the drill. Next, we'll make a brick texture roller. Start by cutting out foam rings and strips. Place them onto the roller brush and glue the strips on like so. Now we'll add some spackle to the wall and cover it with plastic wrap. Use the brush to roll out the brick texture. Sanding between gaps can be very tedious. We can add some duct tape to give the sandpaper some extra support. It's dangerous to use a planer or table saw without a push stick. We can make one using this paintbrush. Remove the bristles and cut out a notch in the handle. Now our fingers are safe. Let's add tape to the edge of our paint bucket. Keep our brush from dripping. This next project is making a rubber strap wrench. We want to drill a hole through this nut and then cut out notches on both sides. We'll insert the rubber strap like so, and then secure it with a bolt, tightening a nut on the other side. Now we can tighten the strap using the ratchet to loosen this oil filter. To fit these 2 pipes together, we can use a swaging drill bit. Using an angle grinder creates a lot of dust. A bit of double-sided tape will capture some of the dust and protect the shield. When finished, simply throw the tape away. Some screws just don't seem to want to hold on to the drill bit like we want them to. Luckily, we can use some double-sided tape once again to help us out. Add the tape to the drill bit and press the screw onto the tape. This knife is clearly dull. We can create a knife sharpening stand by drilling 2 holes into our stand and inserting the 2 stones. For our last project, we'll be creating an articulating arm that allows us to make straight marks across oddly shaped objects. We'll start by first drilling holes into each of the pieces of wood like so. Then we'll sand off the corners and edges of each piece. Next, we'll add bolts, washers, and nuts to each articulating joint and tighten. And the next piece will be screwed in perpendicularly. We'll screw in a smaller piece to the other end as well. Now we can mark straight lines, both on flat boards and even on the inside of this container.